When I make reference to speed, crack, crank, cocaine, cross stops, diet pills, stimulants, I'm referring to caffeine because that is the beginning. That is the only legal stimulant I think they sell or they give to you. Okay? And so that's where all the problems start.
What about what you also say with children? Caffeine is a big issue and causes obesity and that type of a thing. Is it mostly
tailgating? They got to work. It's now a disease. No. You're out of your mind on caffeine. You're out of your mind on crank, speed, you name it. Nervous habits. I want to bring the person through that's biting his fingers all day. He can't help it. You know why people drink booze?
Why?
Because they can't go to sleep. You see, they got it all backwards. People, another thing, alcoholism. I'm jumping to a lot of subjects.
That's okay.
But that's what you wanted.
Actually.
Alcoholism is not an addiction. Alcohol is like formaldehyde. It's a poison. Mm-hmm. The reason people die and get all fucked up and they can't drink, they gotta drink, is because two things. They're addicted to the caffeine, and guess what? They're not addicted to alcohol. That's food. There's food in that bottle of vodka. That's their sandwich.
Oh, so there's caffeine in the alcohol?
No, I'm saying they're drinking alcohol uncontrollably because they did coffee that morning.
Okay.
See, it's that morning, it's the hot morning beverage that has everybody tied in a knot.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so to clarify, there would be no alcoholics if the same people did not drink caffeine. There would be no alcoholism?
It's like I say, if we address caffeine, all the hospitals would go away naturally because caffeine brings us all to the doctor's footsteps. Either, I don't know about the migraines. Oh, well, we get you some medicine. No problem. We'll get some migraine medicine. Well, guess what? Migraines are induced. They're induced by speed. You're born with a perfect nervous system. Plain and simple. We got a natural perfect nervous system. Everybody here, unless it's a genetic problem, was born perfect. And for some reason, and I know why, we're all addicted to caffeine. Why? Because the doctors get to work like I say, they induce death so they can prolong your life. It's that simple. They induce death. And that's what coffee does. That's what caffeine does. It causes that little edge. And for the rest of your life, you either got migraines because your parents, you either got hay fever, you got asthma. Now, all these things are the result of being hypersensitive to everything. And your parents had hay fever, they weren't told. They've been doing coffee their whole life. A little bit of chocolate, any of this coffee, anything that's caffeine, you're addicted like in 3 days by using it. And you'll have cold turkey if you don't continue. The other thing about coffee I mentioned, like I said, it gets you fat or skinny, intrinsically paranoid. And then it also makes you a drug addict. It makes you a drug addict, requiring maintenance. And the doctors are there with the maintenance. When the cops bust these people, 9 times out of 10, you know what's in their pocket? Ritalin and Vicodin. Makes you fearless. Makes you fearless. Okay? Then, when you get to college, you gotta buy a Ritalin off the street. The kids in grammar school are selling Ritalin. If they ain't got their own prescription, they steal it from their parents and they turn around and sell it to the kids at school. Just to be able to pass a class test. Study that night. You can study a marshmallow for 14 hours on a Ritalin. Well, that's strong.
How a person, if caffeine is an addiction, how do they go about ridding themselves of that addiction?
This is why I'm here today. For people to recognize what I say, they're going to have to doubt their doctors, okay? Because the doctors have never said anything like this to them, okay? The problem with caffeine today, it's so powerful that it leaves people hyper. They're choking, they're chomping at the bit, and they go to the doctor and they say they're on edge. Well, the doctor doesn't say anything about caffeine. He passes out some on edge pills, okay? He talks about passing out antidepressants. Hey, let me tell everybody here right now, if you guys go up with a 1 M&M peanut, that's gonna get you high, 1 M&M peanut, because there's caffeine in that 1 M&M peanut. If you go up, guess what? Doctor won't tell you this. You gotta go down too. He didn't tell you that. No, he passes out antidepressants like candy. Everybody, not to mention the designer drugs. Hey, how about a Prozac? How about a Ritalin? How about a Paxil? How about this Vicodin I can sell on the street for $4 a pop? I know people that get drugs because of physical hardships. But they got a jive going with the doctor. They pull that 100 pills, they turn around and sell it for $400 just for a little food. Okay, speed has been part of our war machine, and guess what? Now the guys are coming home. About 6 months ago, and I want you to follow this and figure out, one of our Camp Pendletons, not Camp Pendleton, but one of these camps in California where these Marines come back, you might all heard about it. 5 Marines come back to the same base, and 5 wives are killed. That was buried under the table. I want to find out what happened to those guys. 5 guys come back and they kill their wives, and they blamed it on the trauma of the Afghanistan fighting. All right, that's not acceptable. Caffeine's not acceptable in these terms. Caffeine has got everybody at the doorsteps of the docks, like I say. There's a lot to be said. Like I said, world-breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, what I talk about is world-breaking news. The doctors will never address this, okay? We got all these fragile people. It's a sad situation. I kind of want to sit down with Mr. Psychiatrist. Those are the people that are lying, causing all these people to uncontrollably go to the hospital, seek out medication, ask for help because they don't, all these problems are caused by caffeine. Migraines, biting your fingernails, depression, alcoholing, drinking too much alcohol, smoking too much, all because you can't settle down. Nobody understands. Oh, I wanted to pass out, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in like a 12-step program you might find at AA. I look at AA as just a stepping stone, because all they do is get you strung out on caffeine and chocolate donuts and stuff like that. They just get you out of the gutter, but then you're addicted. And no one's gonna tell me that AA membership is nonprofit. Every day people are putting $1 in that pan. Every day, keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. I'd like to know who Mr. AA is, Weeks, or his grandsons, or who it was. Anyway, 12-step, AA has a 12-step program. Narconon has a 12-step program. Well, I put together, like in about 10 minutes, I wrote this with kind of everything fell into place. I have 12 admissions, 12 things you have to admit to help you become caffeine-free and to get in touch with your loved ones. It's difficult to talk about caffeine with anybody that's under the influence of it, because they think they got it together, you know. They're gonna keep over oh yeah, this guy's a little kooky. I
was just thinking that caffeine, you say is a drug, and
It
same
is a
thing as
drug.
cocaine and such, so forth.
Oh, okay, the next day, after they busted me for alcohol, the next day I stopped drinking. No cold turkey, just stopped. Why? Because I wasn't doing coffee. I was smoking weed. I stopped it the next day. Because you don't get addicted to weed. You don't get addicted to caffeine, to booze. You do not get addicted to booze. You go to booze for tranquility, because you can't go to sleep, and you go to it because you're hungry and you're not eating a sandwich. If you stop booze the next day, eat a couple sandwiches, ain't gonna be no cold turkey. You're gonna have a tough time though if you're missing that coffee. Everybody you know knows what happens if you don't do coffee the next day. They're always trying to keep it kind of wishy-washy. Well, we don't know this, and we've never concluded this, that, the other. They will never, ever address stimulants. Never. because it brings you all to the hospital. Like I said, if it was addressed, the hospitals would go away naturally. People would be more in touch. They'd be tranquil. They'd feel comfortable. Don't forget, the cops can control you a lot easier if you're scared. And everybody's scared. And they got all these cops running around on speed. It's bad. It's wrong. It's wrong. If this gets any further, if we can launch this into maybe more of a national discussion, then we'll bring in these other people that are wearing masks. Mr. Drug Company, Mr. Psychiatrist. Getting back to the psychiatrist, I believe in 1952, the psychiatrists got all together and they made a little booklet that had 106 disorders. 106. Okay, a kid that touches himself, that would be one disorder. There was all these strange things. Dig this, 2007, you know how many disorders they have in the book now? It's almost, I think it's 600. Now they got 600 disorders, okay? All because people are nervous. They've got irregular fetishes. Maybe they, a lot of disorders. And they're all caused by being hyper nervous, hyper stimulated. We're all hyper stimulated. I like to say that if you're gonna smoke marijuana and drink caffeine speed, you're gonna go crazy. Let me tell you about marijuana. Marijuana, I do's. Marijuana is two things. Marijuana defines two things. And marijuana offers two things. Plain and simple. Marijuana is two things. It's a depressant. It ain't a stimulant. It's like booze. It kicks you back. Marijuana is a depressant and it's a toxin. It's kind of going to leave crap in you, like smoking cigarettes. That's basically what it is. Now it defines two things, I find. It defines nervous agitation. Okay. Because a lot of people I know that are hooked on coffee, if they do a little weed, I know this girl, she said, oh God, I had the biggest anxiety attack of my life when I smoked the weed. That weed, like a reefer madness. No. It just made you aware. Or no, it doesn't make you aware because you're not even aware. But the fact is, you flip out because you're nervous as shit because you don't understand how powerful caffeine really is. A little bit of caffeine goes a long way when you first had a cup. The kids want to have a candy bar. Boom, they're running around crazy. Now they're drinking things like this and shooting people in their own school. You think I'm kidding? You don't think caffeine had something to do with these massacres across the country? Let me finish. I think we got a little diffused. You asked me about marijuana. Marijuana is two things. It is two things. It's a suppressant and it's a toxin. It defines two things. It defines nervous agitation and it also defines tranquility. Marijuana is like being out there with not a thought on your mind and feeling perfect that you're happy. That's all it is. It allows you to feel tranquility and it allows you to understand nervous agitation. The third thing, what it offers. It offers possible personal enlightenment, but it also offers pathetic sadness. Because you'll look at your father or your mother, you'll look back and go, God, they smoked themselves to death because of the caffeine. Oh God, Mom, and the migraines. Oh, is it called? That's what it does. It's truth, and it almost says truth in life. That's what weed's all about. Weed's not reefer madness. It's a depressant. It'll put you in the gutter if you do it all day long, unless you exercise. But if you use it moderately, it allows you it'll offer you those two things, it'll define those things, and it might say something to you. That's what weed is. Someone told me this, when I had my little nervous breakdown back in the 70s, I didn't realize it was from drinking that coffee all night long at those coffee shops. You drink the coffee and then you do drugs during the day, and they had the variety of drugs in the 70s. You could try it all, wear yourself out, and all of a sudden, boom, you snap. You're still on coffee and you start shaking and crying. And that's called a nervous breakdown. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's what a nervous breakdown is.